They're off out to their early lead. That looks like Stanley, followed closely by Frere Jacques and Dapper 2. Down the hill they come. That's now Frere Jacques with about a length lead over Stanley and about 5 back to Dapper 2. That's Frere Jacques out in front by about 3 over Stanley as they near the top of the straight, followed by Dapper 2. At the top of the straight, that's Frere Jacques with about a 3-length margin over Stanley and about 4 back to Dapper 2. It's Frere Jacques down the stretch. As they come to the finish, that's Frere Jacques all alone on top. Frere Jacques with Tally Collar. And coming in now is Stanley and Dapper 2 getting up there to challenge, but it's Stanley in second and Dapper 2 in third. And they're off. That's Jay out to the early lead, followed by Boogie and Ode to Joy. It's Jay opening up about an 8-length advantage over the other two. As they come into sight, that's Jay, followed by Ode to Joy and Boogie. At the top of the hill, that's Jay with about a 6-length advantage over Ode to Joy, and it's another 6 or 7 back to Boogie. Ode to Joy making up ground as they hit the top of the hill, but it's still Jay with a 4 or 5 length advantage back to Ode to Joy and another 6 back to Boogie. Down the hill they come. That's Jay with a narrowing lead. It's now 3. Make that 2 lengths back to Ode to Joy, and Ode to Joy is now up to challenge, but it's still Jay. Jay with about a 1-length lead as they get to the top of the straight. That's Ode to Joy in second and Boogie in third. As they come down the stretch, that's still Jay, followed by Ode to Joy, and it's now Boogie making up ground on the inside of the track. As they come to the wire, that's Jay, Boogie, and Ode to Joy. At the wire, it's going to be Jay by about 2 over Boogie, followed by Ode to Joy.
There we go.
They're turning. They're off. Out to their early lead. The Knife Speaks, followed closely by Something Fishy. About 3 back to Cambridge Bay and Carson Beach. At the top of the hill, that's The Knife Speaks, followed by Something Fishy, Cambridge Bay, and Carson Beach. That's The Knife Speaks with about a 5-length advantage over the rest of the field. In second place, that's Something Fishy, followed with about a 2-length advantage over Cambridge Bay, followed by Something Fishy and Carson Beach. Down the hill they come, and it's The Knife Speaks with still about a 2-length advantage over Cambridge Bay, Something Fishy, and Carson Beach. As they near the top of the street, that's still the Knife Speaks. Cambridge Bay moving up on the outside, something fishy on the inside, and Carson Beach moving between horses. At the top of the straight now, that's still the Knife Speaks. Moving up now quickly on the inside, that's Carson Beach. It's the Knife Speaks and Carson Beach. As they come down to the wire, it's still the Knife Speaks, Carson Beach, Cambridge Bay, and something fishy. All this an official start. That's Carol Davidson, our field master, leading. Remy Wynitz on Reggie, having a tough time staying back. And Emily Scott on Jaguar. They're all safely over the first fence, heading up the hill to our second fence, which looks like a chicken coop from here. And there comes Annie back into the picture. Our field master, Carol Davidson, with a nice lead over that fence, followed by Reggie and Jaguar. It appears that's a hurdle they just jumped up there. And a really good field master would make a spin around and give another lead. Yes, we're over. Everybody's over that third fence. Now they come down the hill, approaching a fourth fence, which looks like a coop. A beautiful lead by our field master, Carol Davidson, followed by Reggie and Remy Wynitz, and Jaguar and Emily Scott. And they're heading up the hill to what appears to be a hurdle. The field master's over, Reggie is over, and Jaguar is over. Looks like this next fence is also a hurdle. Field master, Reggie, and Jaguar are all over that fence safely. They loop back down the hill, coming towards this chicken coop. Carol Davidson, followed closely by Remy Wynitz on Reggie, and then Emily Scott on Jaguar. And they're all over that one. I believe we have one fence to go before Reggie and Jaguar are turned loose. It's my understanding that this is our last fence. Our field master, Carol Davidson, is over. Remy is over on Reggie. And Jaguar is over with Emily Scott. And this should turn into a race in a matter of seconds. and Jaguar have been turned loose. Down the stretch they come. That's Reggie in front, followed by Jaguar. Reggie with about a 2-length advantage over Jaguar. They've got a short distance to go. Those two are stride for stride as they approach the wire. That's Reggie and Jaguar. As they come down to the wire, that's Remy Wynitz on Reggie and Emily Scott on Jaguar. Turning, and they're off. Out to the early lead, that's calculating, followed by Henry and Holtzman. Calculating over the first fence, followed by Henry and Holtzman. That's calculating, opening up an early advantage of some 10 to 15 lengths. They're all safely over the second fence, with calculating enjoying a comfortable lead, followed by Holtzman and Henry. As they reach the top of the hill and turn to come down, that's calculating and Alexander Robertson out in front of Holtzman by some 15 lengths, followed by Henry. They now make the approach to the third fence. That's calculating in the lead, followed by Holtzman and Henry. All horses are safely over that fence. And it's calculating, enjoying a 20-length lead over Holtzman, and it's another 10 back to Henry. As they approach the judges' stand, that's calculating out by some 20 lengths, followed by Holtzman, and another 10 back to Henry. As they approach the next fence, that's calculating and Alexander Robertson with some 15-length advantage, followed by Holtzman and Ann Hamilton, and Henry with Rachel Walsh. They're all over that fence. It's still calculating by about 20 over Holtzman and 10 back to Henry as they head up the hill. As they turn and come towards us, that's still Alexandra Robertson on calculating with the lead. Holtzman in second and Henry in third. They're all over that fence. Heading down to the water jump, that's calculating in the lead by about 10 lengths. Holtzman over that fence. And now Henry, but it's still calculating on top. His lead's about 10 over Holtzman, and Holtzman's got about 15 on Henry. They're over that fence. It's calculating in the lead by about 10 over Holtzman. Still about 15 back to Henry. As they head up the hill, that's calculating by 10. Holtzman, followed by Henry. With a little less than a mile to go, that's calculating on the lead, followed by Holtzman, and far back to Henry. As they make the turn up by the school, that's calculating Holtzman. They head down the hill with one fence to go. That's calculated in Alexander Robertson, followed by Holtzman. Calculating's lead is now about 2 lengths, and Holtzman's making a move as they come down the hill. Those two are now heads apart, and Holtzman has taken a lead. Those two still run side by side with one fence to go. It's Calculating and Holtzman as they come to the last. With one fence to go, it's Holtzman, and it appears Calculating has gone off course. At the top of the straight, that's Holtzman all alone. And Hamilton on Holtzman to the wire. Calculating has circled and is now coming up the stretch and will finish in second place. You know, that horse obviously can run. Right, she couldn't even control him at that late stage. And that's Calculating in second, and here comes Henry up the stretch for third. And Hamilton on Holtzman to the wire. Calculating has circled and is now coming up the stretch and will finish in second place. And that's Calculating in second, and here comes Henry up the stretch for third. They are now at the start. Flags are up. They're turning. And they're off. That's Hira out to the early lead by about a length over Classic Cow. Those two horses are now safely over the first fence and heads apart. It appears that Hira is going to be our early leader, followed by Classic Cow. Both horses are now over the second fence, and that's Hira, our leader, by about a length or two over Classic Cow. They can afford to take the scenic route. I don't think they're in a hurry. As they head into that far turn, that's Hira with the lead, about 2 lengths over Classic Cow. And they approach the third fence. It's Hira and Classic Cow. Over that fence as they head down along Route 82. They seem to be picking it up a bit here. That's Hira in front, followed by Classic Cow. With a big leap over that fence, that was Classic Cow jumping to the lead. But Hira picks it back up one more time. That's Hira in front by about a length over Classic Cow. As they head past the judges' stand, that's Hira followed very closely by Classic Cal. And as they head to the next fence, it appears Classic Cal has now taken the lead. It's Classic Cal now in front by about a length over Hyra. Those two are safely over that fence, and Classic Cal in front by about 2 over Hyra. As they make the far turn out there, that's Classic Cal now by about 3 over Hyra. Billy Meister on Classic Cal in front, followed by Woods Winans on Hyra. As they come back towards us, that's Classic Cal in front by about 2 over Hyra. And they're both safely over that fence, heading down to the water fence. That's Classic Cal in front by about a length over Hyra. And they're both safely over that fence. As they head to the first fence for the second time, that's Classic Cal and about 3 back to Hyra. And they're both over that. As they head up the hill, that's Classic Cal in front, followed closely by Hyra. Both horses are safely over that fence, and with a little less than a mile to go, at the top of the hill, that's Classic Cal with about a 2-length advantage over Hyra. And they make that turn. It's now Classic Cal by about a length over Hyra. Both horses. To go, and 1 fence as they head to the top of the hill. That's Classic Cal and Hyra stride for stride. Make that Classic Cal by about 2. Make it 3. It's Classic Cal at the top of the hill, followed by Hyra. 3 lengths separating those two with 1 fence to go. Hyra is now closing that gap. It's Classic Cal by 1, followed by Hyra. As they head to the last, that's Classic Cal and William Meister on top, followed closely by Woods Winans and Hyra. Over the last, that's Classic Cal by about 1, followed by Hyra as they come to the top of the straight. It's Classic Cal and Hyra. Classic Cal and Hyra as they head down to the wire. That's Classic Cal and Hyra. It's Classic Cal by 1 over Hyra on top, followed closely by Woods Winans and Hyra. Over the last, that's Classic Cal by about 1, followed by Hyra as they come to the top of the straight. It's Classic Cal and Hyra. Classic Cal and Hyra as they head down to the wire. That's Classic Cal and Hyra. It's Classic Cal by 1 over Hyra. Thank you, Bill. The flag is now up. And they're off. Out to the early lead. That's Deceptive Stroke, followed by Stage Radiance and Narrow River. They're all over that first fence, and that's Deceptive Stroke out with a 5-length advantage over Narrow River and Stage Radiance. All three are safely over that next fence, with Deceptive Stroke in front by about 2 over Stage Radiance and another 2 or 3 back to Narrow River. As they head up to that far turn, that's Deceptive Stroke on top by 2, followed by Stage Radiance and about 3 or 4 back to Narrow River. As they come down along Route 82, that's still Deceptive Stroke, Stage Radiance, and Narrow River. All horses are safely over that fence, and it's now Deceptive Stroke by about 3 over Stage Radiance and another 3 back to Narrow River. All horses are over that fence. It's now Deceptive Stroke heading down towards the judges' stand with about a 5 to 6 length lead over Stage Radiance and Narrow River. That's Billy Meister on Deceptive Stroke showing the way to this next fence, followed by Woods Winants on Stage Radiance and Alexander Robertson on Narrow River. They're all over that fence. That's still Deceptive Stroke in front, followed by Stage Radiance and Narrow River. These guys are going a lot faster. As they make that far turn, that's Deceptive Stroke with about a 4-length advantage over Stage Radiance, who has about a 2-length advantage over Narrow River. They're all over that one. That's Deceptive Stroke on top by about 4 or 5, followed by Narrow River and Stage Radiance. And they're all over the water fence. That's Deceptive Stroke enjoying about a 6 to 7 length advantage over Narrow River and Stage Radiance. They're all over that one. That's still Deceptive Stroke out on top, making 5, 6 lengths back to Narrow River, another one back to Stage Radiance. Up the hill they go with about 1 mile left. That's Deceptive Stroke, Narrow River, and Stage Radiance. They're all over that fence. It's still Deceptive Stroke, Stage Radiance, and Narrow River. As they make that far turn, that's Deceptive Stroke and Billy Meister on top by about 2 over Stage Radiance and Woods Winants, and about 3 or 4 back to Narrow River and Alexander Robertson. It's about 5 back to Narrow River as they head to the top of the hill. As they head down the hill, that's still Deceptive Stroke. His lead about 2 or 3 over Stage Radiance and about 5 or 6 back to Narrow River. Stage Radiance trying to cut that lead, but it's still Deceptive Stroke by about 2. Stage Radiance and far back to Narrow River. With 1 fence to go, that's Deceptive Stroke, followed closely by Stage Radiance. Over the final fence, that's Deceptive Stroke, Stage Radiance, and Narrow River. Up the straight and in hand, that's Deceptive Stroke, followed by Stage Radiance and Narrow River. At the finish, that's Deceptive Stroke and Stage Radiance, followed by Narrow River. Radiance. Over the final fence, that's Deceptive Stroke, Stage Radiance, and Narrow River. Up the straight and in hand, that's Deceptive Stroke, followed by Stage Radiance and Narrow River. At the finish, that's Deceptive Stroke and Stage Radiance.
Yeah, that was a really...
Because those are the two horses, but they're very nice horses.
They weren't catching you anywhere.
I couldn't.
Is up, they're turning, and they're off. That's Hotted Up out to the early lead, followed by Ryan's Turn and Chris Kringle. Down to the first fence. That's Hotted Up, Ryan's Turn, and Chris Kringle. Hotted Up with about a 3-length advantage. Whoops. Ryan's Turn now has the lead, followed by Chris Kringle. And Hotted Up is now back on course. That's Ryan's Turn with the lead as they head up the hill, followed by Chris Kringle and Hot It Up. Up at the top of the hill, that's Ryan's Turn by about 3 over Chris Kringle, and it's about 20 back to Hot It Up. As they head down the hill, that's still Ryan's Turn. It's about 2 back to Chris Kringle and about 15 to 20 back to Hot It Up. As they head down towards the judges' stand, that's Ryan's Turn out in front, followed closely by Chris Kringle, about 20 back to Hot It Up. That's Michelle Hunter on Ryan's Turn, showing the way to Buzz Hannum and Chris Kringle. And Michael Finney has decided to give Hot It Up a school. That's Ryan's Turn in front, followed closely by Chris Kringle. As they head out to that far turn, that's Ryan's Turn by about 3 over Chris Kringle, some 20 or 30 lengths back to Hot It Up. As they head down to this next fence, that's still Ryan's Turn, followed closely by Chris Kringle. Heading down towards the water fence, that's still Ryan's Turn, about a length back to Chris Kringle. They're both safely over that fence. It's Ryan's Turn and Michelle Hunter with about a length advantage over Buzz Hannum and Chris Kringle. They're both over that fence. It's still Ryan's Turn by about a length or 2 over Chris Kringle, followed by the schooling Hot It Up. Our front 2 horses are over that next fence. It now looks like Chris Kringle is picking up the front end and making the running, and then it's Ryan's Turn. Both of those front two are over that next fence. It's Ryan's turn, picking back up the lead, followed very closely by Chris Kringle. With about a little less than a mile to go, that's Chris Kringle and Ryan's turn. About 2 lengths separate those two. With 3 fences to go, it's now Buzz Hannum and Chris Kringle with about a half length advantage over Michelle Hunter and Ryan's turn. As they go behind the trees, that's still Chris Kringle with about a length advantage over Ryan's turn. 2 fences to go. That is Chris Kringle with about a 2 to 3 length advantage over Ryan's turn. They're both safely over that fence. Half mile to go, that's Chris Kringle in front. Ryan's turn in second. As they head down the hill, Buzz Hannum is opening up on Chris Kringle. He's now got about a 10 length advantage over Ryan's turn. Heading to the last, that's Buzz Hannum on Chris Kringle, all alone in front. It's about 10 lengths back to Michelle Hunter on Ryan's turn. Those two are safely over that fence, and that's Chris Kringle on top, heading down to the finish. Chris Kringle and Buzz Hannum in hand at the wire. Followed by Michelle Hunter and Ryan's turn. Front, it's about 10 lengths back to Michelle Hunter on Ryan's turn. Those two are safely over that fence, and that's Chris Kringle on top, heading down to the finish. Chris Kringle and Buzz Hannum in hand at the wire. Followed by Michelle Hunter and Ryan's turn.
He won't get in it.
You're good. Hey, I got a curve.
Come on, Molly.
All right.
All right. All done?